Andrew Mack here with MMA Allen and Trial by Combat. Today I'm with one of my biggest supporters, Phil LoCigno, who's making his pro debut at Cage Titans on May 25th. Phil, how you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. And even better now that I get to have this experience with you.
Hell yeah. So last time I talked, I think it was September, it was before your last fight. What have you been doing since then?
Keep the ball rolling, keep training, keep getting better. Manage the weight a little bit better as well because I'm trying to get to 35. But me and my opponent come to the agreement because he had a short notice fight at 55 about 2 weeks ago. He won that. Congratulations to him. So we agreed to just do a catch weight at 140, which is better for me. Less weight to cut. I woke up at 150 today, so that's beautiful right where we're at. So if we needed to go to 35, I could definitely make it. But yeah, just staying prepared as always. I didn't take any time off at all. Just right back in the gym.
I know you celebrate your birthday in, I think, November, turning 30. How was that?
Yeah, November 5th. Just like another day. As weird as it sounds, I don't feel like I'm getting older. I really feel like I'm getting younger because as years go on, I've been living a healthier lifestyle, and I feel like I'm getting better, like a fine wine, as you would say.
I noticed like a lot of my friends, when they turn 30, there's like a mental obstacle, like they need to accept that they're 30 now. Do you have experienced anything like that?
Not at all. I just think it's a more society thing from like social media and propaganda to just make you feel, I don't know, quote unquote old, which is not old at all. Like, look at guys like Glover Teixeira. He didn't win a championship till he was 40 years old. Alexander the Great didn't conquer the world till he was 33 years old. I feel like as men, we don't become our best until we turn 30 because all the mistakes we made from our 20s, even as our late teens, and you just learn. But I wish I did have the knowledge now when I was 21. But, everything happens for a reason. And I'm blessed to see 30. I'm blessed to, just be alive and breathing.
And going back to that fight in September, of course you won. It was awesome. As we talked about in your last interview, you always learn something, win or lose, from a fight. What would you say your biggest lesson from that fight was?
Biggest lesson, just focus on the now, be more present, because I was already looking towards going pro, like even before that fight happened. So I didn't really get to enjoy the moment per se. It was like, oh, my last amateur fight. At the end of the day, a fight's a fight where now I'm getting paid and it's on the record now, even though the amateur record still. So I don't know. Just be more present, I would have to say.
So at what point did you and your coach have that conversation? All right, it's time to go pro. Let's put your name in for professionals.
Probably right before New Year's, because I had an opportunity to do another amateur fight for a title fight, actually, and I turned it down because I don't know. I felt like I would have had the same mindset, like, oh, after this, then we go pro. After this, I'd rather just put all my mental focus on just being the best pro that I can possibly be. Because, like we mentioned before, I just turned 30. So I want to give all my best effort and energy into a professional career, whether that leads to the UFC, the PFL, Bellator, or just LFA, or just at Cage Titans, whether it is. I want to enjoy the process day by day. I don't want to keep looking too far forward. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So I told my coach I think at the right time is now, and he agreed with me. And yeah, I'm making the pro debut this Saturday, and I can't wait because now I can finally use what I've been meaning to use.
So speaking of that, you mentioned in your last interview, you want to go pro, you want to use those elbows, you want to use those knees to the head. How does that?
Yeah, I just feel like I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I just feel like now that that's implemented into my game, I feel like my attacks since that my sparring is just more fluid. Like because I find myself in clinches all the time because I have T-Rex arms, and people when they feel me hit them, they want to grab me. And right off the rip, just instantly, elbow knee. And we're a Muay Thai school, so I'm always practicing that. And the fact that I could never use that in an amateur MMA fight was like, yeah, this kind of sucks. But now I get to use them, and I can't wait to show them off Saturday. It's going to be great.
I've noticed a lot of new pros, like, they forget that you can throw the knee to the head. You forget you can elbow. Just at Combat Zone yesterday, so many of the newer pros, the entire crowd just yelling, elbows, elbows, elbows. So, given that you practice them a lot, do you think you're going to remember them more than other newer pros?
Oh, 100%. Excuse me. 100%. As soon as my hands in a certain position or I'm in the ground in a certain position, I'm gonna use those elbows or knees. Even though you could have done them in amateurs, you can knee a grounded opponents. Yeah, I just feel like I can be more vicious. I don't have to keep thinking like, oh, I can only do this, that, and the third. No, now like the leash is off the dog. Now I can finally be what I was meant to be.
And I know that you mentioned that you spar 5 minute rounds, and now you get to fight 5 minute rounds. So what do you think the biggest change will be for your style and how you fight?
As far as that, nothing. Even as an amateur, we always sparred 5 minutes and do 5, 6 rounds. I felt like that kind of maybe did me a little disservice in the amateurs because my style has always been like, all right, let me, be more like technical, see what's in front of me because it's 5 minutes. You have to pace yourself. But then when you're in an amateur fight, 3 minutes, it's gung ho immediately. We're not. There's no feeling out process. Granted, it could be like that in the pros, but you don't really see it that often. But I'm prepared to do that as well if my opponent wants to try to charge me because it's my debut. That's fine. I'm conditioned to go 5 rounds. I prefer 5 minutes and 5 rounds, honestly, because that's what I train for constantly.
So is there a different mindset between a professional camp and a amateur camp?
Oh yeah, a huge difference.
What's that
I
difference?
want to walk away with a full paycheck.
So is there a different mentality going to this fight that you're going for a paycheck and a more permanent record?
Yeah. As far as like really the paycheck, it's just I guess not really. Besides other the fact that I'm getting paid for it, and he's trying to take food out of my mouth and support my family with this money potentially, and I'm looking to do the same thing to him. So I had a dream to be a professional athlete. First it was football, and it was boxing, and now it's MMA, and it's at the grip of my hands. And I'm not letting this man take my dreams away from me. I'm not letting any man take my dreams away from me.
And how is this camp compared to the others?
More meticulous as far as certain attacks and setups, but then also with just fine tuning what is Phil good at? What's Phil's best tools? That's kind of what we've been really sharpening up for. I feel like in the amateurs, those camps, it was more just about making sure we're ready to fight. Now that we know that I'm always ready to fight, now it's just all right. Let's just keep sharpening the blade as we go on.
And you mentioned that this is a catchweight because this is a short notice fight for him. You still intend to
No,
fight,
it,
or
it was it's a catchweight because he had a short notice fight about 2 weeks ago, and it was at 155. So when I heard about it and I heard he won, you know how fighters get. They blow up in weight. I didn't really want to go down that route. So I just offered a table like, hey, is he still going to be able to make 35 or does he want to do a catch at 140? And I was informed like, yeah, he's cool for the 35. So I was like, all right. And then all of a sudden they got back to me again and said, you know what? We'll do 40. So I was like, all right, perfect. Works for me.
going forward, do you still intend to stay at 35? Or go to
Oh, yeah.
35, I mean?
No, yeah, no. Like I said, I woke up this morning at 150. I could make 35. That's no problem.
So not looking past your opponent, but how many times do you want to fight this year or next year? How do you want to stay active?
Oh, at least 3 or 4. At least 3. Just because I know I should have fought January, but I turned down the title fight. March was originally supposed to be my pro debut. We couldn't find anybody in time. And then, yeah, now we're in May. So I'm trying to get as many as I can.
So going
But
with Mark, you said you couldn't find anyone. Is that frustrating when you really want to fight, but you can't find anyone to fight you?
it's part of the game. You got to get used to that. Sometimes people, like I had a teammate as of recently, a guy pulled out, for injuries or maybe personal reasons. You never really know. And, he just spent 8 weeks of training, diet and all that, and now he can't. So I've seen it happen with so many guys. I see it happen all the time in the UFC and on professional circuits. It's part of the game, unfortunately. But it's all about how you approach it because I really don't even like to think like, oh, this is training camp. Like, to be honest with you, my life is a training camp. It's just when I have a fight actually booked from 8 to 6 weeks out, I'm always eating healthy. I just small down my portions and that's be more mentally disciplined to not eat for pleasure or eat out of anxiety, but I'm always training. Like I work full time. I'm always training right after work, 2 hours, whether that's be striking or grappling. This is my passion. This is my life. I'm always going to be doing this. Even when I'm not competing, I'll still be that guy that's always training. Because at first, I was a fighter, and I just feel like now, no, first I was an athlete, then I turned into a fighter, and now I feel myself emerging as a martial artist. Like this is a way of life for me.
Where's your nickname come from?
Ah, well, to be honest with you, is there's many reasons why, but to be honest, the main reason is growing up, everyone always fucked up my last name, called me LoCigno, kind of like you did in the beginning. But I knew we were gonna get to this, so I figured I'll let everybody know. My last name is LoCigno. The G is silent. So that being, I just kind of needed the name Bambino Lucino because you can't say Bambino Lusigno. It sounds fucking silly. And another reason why it's symbolic to me because I grew up as an only child and I'm my mom's baby boy, and it's just catchy. You never hear like everyone I feel like has the same nickname. You never hear the Bambino. I mean, obviously the only one is the baseball player Babe Ruth, but in MMA like there's only one Bambino.
Hell yeah. And I'll make sure I say your name correctly from now on. Especially as an only child myself as well.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it was a struggle at first, but yeah, we made it through.
How do you balance your work life and your martial arts career and training?
Honestly, I look at my day job as like strength and conditioning throughout the day. Like everyone says, I train twice a day. Yeah, I'm training twice a day too. I'm carrying 18-foot planks, building staging like 18 stories up in the air, which was honestly to me is scarier than MMA. Like I hate heights, and when I'm walking on two planks with a frame, I'm looking down and I see I'm like 20 stories in the air with a harness holding me up. It gets my mind ready, like for a cage fight. And yeah, it's just a way of life for me. Honestly, I feel better when I'm working and training than just doing like 2 sessions or 3 sessions a day. I don't know how or why, but it just works for me. I like it.
So you fought for Cage Titans many times. What do you like about Cage Titans?
The main thing I like about Case Titans is how unbiased they are. They treat everybody the same. Everybody gets shine there. Even like the guys that, maybe really shouldn't be in there. Case Titans always finds the way to promote that person. And they're great at it because everyone always buys into it. Like they had a gimmick about the oldest mother ever belt, and that was a hit. They got a guy who's a firefighter. I think he was like in his late 50s.
Uh,
John Payne,
he's 60 now.
60.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. That's a hit. People are buying tickets to see that guy fight. They just know how to promote. I also love the production. Shout out to my boy Nick, who handles the media out there. I feel like ever since he really got on his game and started doing his thing, now you see these other promotions start to up their game up with the weigh-ins, the questions at the weigh-ins, like just the little stuff that K-Steins does. Now you see these other promotions do it. K-Steins, they're kind of trendsetters, and I'm riding the wave with them.
Yeah, I've noticed that too from a lot of our promotions. I've talked to Nick about it, like not naming names, of course, but we see like, oh, their social media accounts are starting to boost more posts. They're posting highlights and all that stuff. Cage Titans did it first.
Yeah, and like I really feel like they're even above like certain like mid-range promotions like an LFA or those types. Like they're really on their shit when it comes to social media because that's the way the world is shifting now, and it's great for fighters and you know social media platforms in general because we all of us get more exposure when people like Nick make other people step their game up. So shout out to Nick.
Yeah, there was one promotion. I would call them like a mid to high level promotion that came to Boston. And compared to Cage Titans, they were like just garbage. Like they had no like promotion for the event. I went to the event, they didn't even have a media section. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but they don't know what they don't know. Like, I know Case Time they spent a lot of dough into pushing that market out there. I mean, on TikTok they got like 1 million views, 1 million likes. That's really not heard of for a local MMA promotion, which I kind of find it to even call them local like disrespectful because my mind, when I make that walk, I feel like a superstar, and they make me feel like a superstar.
I mean, that venue really has to do something with that, right? How do you feel walking out to that venue at Plymouth Memorial Hall, Coliseum, everyone looking down on you?
Ah, I've actually talked to Nick about this. I wish the walk was a little shorter because
Really?
that's a long ass walk from upstairs in the
Oh,
back. You got to walk through the crowd like where Roman Reigns or you know Attitude Era Edge. Like, and I got people like slapping me and kind of in the way because they're standing up. Like, he asked me, "How do you think if we were on the floor in the corners in the red, and the blue?" I'd be like, "That'd be way better instead of coming here, coming down, back up on the stage, then back down." So it's cool though. I love that. I love that place, and I'm grateful that I got to have my first ever, martial art basically competition there. Like, I come from football. Yeah, I trained boxing here and there, but never actually officially competed. My first ever exposure to a crowd, no smokers, no jujitsu matches, none of that. Just 2,000 people looking at it. And I just felt at home. I felt I was better with that pressure on me.
so the fans see a very short portion of the walk. They see from the stage onto the floor into the cage. What do you think if we had, or if Cage Shine thought someone with a camera following you all the way from the locker room across, down, up, down, and then onto the stage?
It's too long. What they used to do, like some videos you'll see, when we make our walk from the upper balcony, we walk down the first set of stairs. They'll have someone already on the bottom filming us, like that video of Joe the Party when he's
Oh
banging his
yeah.
head on the wall. That was down the first set of stairs, and then he's got to go back up the stage and then back down the stairs to make the walk. But it'd be pretty cool. But you'd have to security on the upper balcony would have to be on this stuff because sometimes you got people who are standing here and we have to like push them out of the way to make it to the walk. But
Uh,
it's cool though.
I'm someone who loves to go walk out. I love like that Purge walkout. I love. There's another big walkout that happened recently. I forget who it was, but like I think like walking out is just like an art that I really admire. So I'm always a fan of like longer walkouts.
And speaking of walkout, wait to see my walkout and what song I picked. Going to be absolutely epic, especially if you grew up playing video games and you like martial arts. That's all I can say.
Ooh, I'm very excited. So win, lose or draw. What do you want the fans to think of you when you exit that cage?
Want the fans to think of me as the most exciting fighter on that card, and they have to see that fighter fight again every single time when they see the Bambino, that they know they're getting their money's worth.
And imagine yourself how many of years in the future, end of your pro career, looking back on your pro career. What do you want yourself to think of you making this pro debut?
And I gave it my all. I left it all out there. And there's no questions or doubts if I did everything right leading up to this point. And this was always meant to happen.
Any last words you want to give? Any shout outs, sponsors?
Just want to give a shout out to my gym, Sit Your Tongue. Also, Broadway Jiu Jitsu. They've been helping me get ready for this fight. Want to give them a shout out as well. And most importantly, a shout out to my mom and dad, because without them, I wouldn't have been in this position to even pursue this type of lifestyle. So I'm grateful for them. Love you, mom and dad.
Awesome. Very excited for your fight. Can't wait to
Thank
see
you,
you.
sir. Can't wait to see you too after.
Sounds good.